Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming to today's webinar. We're going to be talking about budgeting for the holidays today. But while people kind of trickle in and we get things started, I'm going to go over just some housekeeping stuff for today's webinar. Starting with, we are in webinar mode on Zoom. I'm sure you're all very used to different Zoom meetings at this point, but webinar mode basically means everybody's automatically muted, cameras are automatically off. Go ahead and enjoy your lunch. You don't have to worry about making any noise or anything like that. Have a cup of tea. I know Jen is. We welcome any and all questions, but webinar mode means that the chat is disabled, which is okay because the Q&A feature is actually really helpful for helping us organize those questions. So if you have any questions or comments or anything, please do chime in. But we're going to use the Q&A feature today to be able to do that. You're going to be able to find that on the Zoom taskbar. Sometimes it's in the More section. It might be not automatically on the taskbar. If that's the case, just hit the three dots that say More, and then from there you should see the thing that says Q&A. Please feel free to ask us questions on there. That's going to be great. I do already see some people are answering our poll that we have going on about holiday shopping, which is awesome. We do want to kind of get some engagement going and figure out how people are and how they're feeling about that. So as you trickle in and as we are doing this, please feel free to throw in an answer there. We are also recording this presentation. This and all of our webinars are available for free post the live presentation on our YouTube. We have like hundreds of videos on there. It's really great. A lot of good content. So if you're like, oh, I missed that section, what was that thing that they had said? You can always watch it again. We're also going to send the link to the video along with the slides in a follow-up email to you all as well. So don't worry if you miss anything. You can absolutely check it out. You can find the information you need. And then we are always very open to feedback as well. Our number one thing is that we are reaching the community. We're talking with you guys in a way that's actually helpful. So we love feedback. We send a post-workshop survey as well, and there'll be a link for that as well in the chat. So we read all of the feedback that we receive. So please let us know how we're doing. If you feel like there could be more information or a different topic even, or whatever it is that you're wondering about that we can improve on, please let us know. We love to read those results. So thank you all so much. And a little introduction. My name is Ty Koppelson. I'm here with my boss today, Jen Fries. We are representing the community engagement team here at the Harvard Federal Credit Union. And then one thing I always like to say is the answer to the question of why should you listen to us? And that's because we are actually all certified credit union financial counselors. So we are certified. We know at least a little bit about what we're talking about, and we have the certification to show it. And we are here to help you today. We have a lot of different content, a lot of great stories of our personal lives and how we can work with you, how we can show that we've had issues with this stuff in the past as well, and learning how to be better. We're just always all learning how to be better and helping each other. So that's a little bit about us. And we are very excited to talk more about the credit union and our presentation on holiday budgeting. So number one question we always get is what is the difference between a credit union and a bank? Because not enough people know, and that is totally fine. Credit unions are not-for-profit financial organizations. So basically what that means is that we do everything a bank does. Checking accounts, savings accounts, loans, we even do investing, we do student loans, mortgages, HELOCs, we do all the same stuff a bank does. But we are not for profit. So we are not trying to make a profit off of our members for shareholders or anything like that. We are not going to be pushy salesy. We're not going to charge hidden fees or really almost any fees at all. That's one of the primary things that's great about us is that we generally have better rates. We have very few, if any, fees for any of our services. And that's because the profit we do make, we re-engage it into our community and into our membership in a lot of different ways. One of the sort of first frontline ways we do that people always love to hear is that if you have a debit card with us, we refund all ATM fees that are charged to you. And now ATM fees almost always come from the ATM itself or the institution that owns the ATM. Like if you go and you take out cash from a Bank of America ATM and you don't have an account with them, they will charge you a fee for using that ATM. We give you that money back. So even though we didn't charge you the fee, we give you that money back. It's a little way, one of the many ways that we give back to our membership, trying to find that benefit, trying to find something that people actually care about, feels good to have. And like I said, we have better rates generally for both savings and as well as loans, things like that. And even though we have a bit of a smaller footprint, we only have a few branches compared to a lot of the big banks, especially. We have all of the same online and mobile benefits, and we are part of the credit union co-op shared branching network, which is this really cool thing I didn't even know about till I started working here. So I'm trying to spread the word because bunch of credit unions all over the nation, I think it's hundreds, are all part of this shared branching network. And what this means is that if you are traveling or something and you need to access your accounts in a way that your debit card won't let you here at our credit union, you can actually go into an entirely different credit union. They can access the shared branching network and give you access to your accounts and everything you need at our credit union. So even though we're a smaller footprint locally, we actually are part of this huge nationwide network. So there's little ways we are able to make up for some of our smaller things and stuff like that. But the fact that we are here for you, we are like humans helping people. That's what we like to say, impact for life. And you can always reach us. Our customer service is very easy to reach. Anyway, talking a little bit about too much about it, but that's because I'm so passionate. We do really good work. We're people first, and that's the primary difference. So, but today we're going to talk about budgeting for the holidays. And Jen, I'm going to kick it off to you to start with our agenda.
Yeah, and I also not to hammer home too much, but I one more thing I love to say about the credit union difference is that we do donate in the community, and as part of the Beth Israel Lahey system, we're a major donor to the emergency room fund at Mount Auburn, and that's something that we've always had that connection to Mount Auburn as a Harvard teaching hospital. So I think that that's something that feels good. It's a nice part of our job is being able to help give out that money in the community. So yeah, so getting into today, and I did share some of the poll results for those of you who participated in the poll. It seems like we do have some people on here like me who I would say I'm in that category of I have an idea in my head of who I'm buying for, but I haven't written it down, and so I'm worried I'm forgetting something or someone. Um,
I'm in the category of I haven't even thought about my
I think
shopping
that's
list yet,
yeah, and
just
that
like
is
our majority here.
the
So,
majority is that. I haven't even thought about it. And then we have some people who are in a little better place on that. And shout out to the person who has most of their gifts purchased. Or all of their gifts already purchased. That's great.
wow.
Um, so we're going to be going through today's agenda about preparing now for the holidays. And I just want to acknowledge that Diwali has already happened, the Jewish high holidays. So for some people, they've kind of got over the hump of a lot of the bigger holidays, and they're going to be really more focused on preparing for next year. So we are going to be talking about that. But many of us have all these holidays coming up, including Thanksgiving. And other winter holidays. So this could apply no matter what your family celebrations are. And this presentation is going to help you start preparing now, help you think about spending wisely, creating some lasting memories. And I think we agree definitely, Ty, and that
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be expensive to be a good core memory, something that you really loved with your family or your friends, and then planning ahead for next year. So let's dive into it. Um, okay, so in a perfect world, when would we start planning for the holiday season? We would like start, you know, right
Yeah, I
after
got bad news for 50% of us in the poll. The best way is to prepare months in advance.
yeah,
But that's okay, we can't do that at this point. That's all right.
yes,
We're going to figure it
yeah,
out together.
yes, yeah. Um, let's see. I'm also going to launch another poll just in case people would like to chime in on this. I'd like to hear how people are feeling about this. Um, so we're going to talk about like how we can do it based on where we are now. It's November 19th, and what does it look like for people? And the poll I just launched is about holiday meals, so that's kind of significant for next week. And definitely a big budget item this year, as we know that groceries have gone up and that kind of thing. Um, all right, so the first step that we suggest for any budgeting thing is creating a plan. So in this case, it's a holiday spending plan. It's thinking about how much money do you have to work with. So instead of doing it the other way around of like, oh, here's everything I'm going to buy, how much does that cost? Oh, I guess I have to put some of it on credit. We're trying to suggest that everyone try and flip that and start with what you can afford, what money you think you have, that you have extra or wiggle room or savings that you're going to tap into that is set aside for the holidays. Then thinking about your expenditures. So gifts, parties, if you're hosting the special meals, Is there anything you can cut back on temporarily or pause to get ready for the holidays? Like maybe um, I know sometimes there are subscriptions that we sign up for, and you don't necessarily have to have them all year to enjoy, and maybe there's something like that, like you can cut back on a streaming service or something like that for a few months and carve a little bit more money back into your budget. So I think that sitting down, and whether that be writing out a list, doing it on a Google Doc. I like the Google Doc because I come back to mine every year. Like, even though I don't really know what I'm doing, I know I can look at last year's list and it's going to help me. And I'll be like, oh, okay. Yeah, right. um, so, so it, if you don't have a plan, that's when you're going to be finding yourself probably tapping into your credit card more and that kind of thing. So, Ty, you said you haven't really thought about it. When do
Yep.
you usually sit down and think about your list, and when do you think you might do that?
Yeah, I should.
Are you
I
going to
need to.
pre-commit during this webinar about time that you're going to take to
Yes, yes, thank
plan?
you. I do almost always. I use a Google sheet, and I'll like lay out who I need to get gifts for. Start thinking about cross-referencing. I'm also waiting for like some people's Christmas lists to come in, that kind of thing. But
Mhm.
that's kind of an excuse. I could always, think of more about myself. So I do pre-commit some time to sit down. I put out like sort of start planning out the gifts of like who I need to get for, ideas of what I want to get them. Um, I am a bit of a Black Friday shopper. It's a bit of a family thing. After Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
we kind of go out and do some shopping that day. So that's kind of, I think, in my head when I kind of kick off, like, okay, now I'm looking for stuff for people, right? And so that's generally how I start to do it, but I am trying to get a little better about doing it early. I do try to plan out saving for that a little bit earlier.
Mhm.
It's definitely
Mhm.
something I've gotten better at over the years, is just like starting to just like put some money aside from my savings category to be for shopping. I'm a
Yep.
big gift giver. It's a love language of mine, so it's something I know is important to me and I want to do it. And so finding ways to feel still I'm able to do that without breaking the bank is really important to me. So even though some of the planning is a little bit more last minute, I do try to make sure I'm practicing these other things like pre-committing time and stuff like that to be able to be in a good position when I'm ready to go.
Yep. Yep. And then I do want to mention for anybody who is in the position that they are feeling right now like they cannot afford, when they did that first step, if you're feeling like I really have nothing left to squeeze, I've been squeezing every other way. Um, and I do want to mention that there are resources available in the community for getting gifts, for getting assistance with holiday meals or other food that you might need. I know it's been rough out there, so I just want to acknowledge just for people that you might want to be reaching out to Toys for Tots, to local religious or charity groups, adopt a family programs. You might get assistance with food. We're big supporters of Food for Free, but they actually don't do that much direct. They're on this list, but the Margaret Fuller Neighborhood House in Cambridge does give out like full meals for people. So you might want to be getting on their list, reaching out to the food bank. And if you are in the position where you are okay, and for me, I know I, like you, Ty, I've been setting aside money in my savings for the holidays, and I feel in a good place.
Hmm.
Then I might want to be donating to one of these groups. And
Yeah.
I am a donor to some of these groups, and it's important to me to do it at the holidays as well as other times during the year. So we definitely love to encourage people on either side. At any given time in your life, you might be someone who needs it, you might be someone who has the extra, and we can help one another.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I think sometimes it's hard to it's easy to think like, oh, it's a little too much, but sometimes it's easy to be like, actually, you know what? I have some food items in the pantry that I was gonna make something with, but I've just determined that I'm not using them or something like that. Or maybe, there was like a toy that you got for somebody, but you heard that like, oh, they're actually not into that anymore, or whatever it is, like if there's something you have that you're able to give back, it doesn't have to be like this whole additional expense. It can be there are ways, you can try to find ways to give back if that's important to you and in the
yeah.
right moment.
Yeah, in fact, if you have a new unwrapped toy and like Ty mentioned, if you had something you bought that you didn't end up needing or wanting, we are collecting in each of our branches at Harvard Federal Credit Union for Toys for Tots. So there's a bin. You can drop off toys there. They ask for new and unwrapped because what they do is they give them to the parent so the parent can, if they want to be Santa or whatever it is, their traditions, that they can give it according to their traditions. So we would love your donations for that. We do
Hmm.
have an Amazon wish list for that, and we can send that out to people as well. Um, but the other thing, as far as preparations, is to spend a little time right now thinking about what might come up and anticipating the unexpected. So having those couple of extra gifts on hand in case someone shows up and gives you a gift that you weren't expecting. It's nice to be able to return it and the favor, and maybe it's a small item. It doesn't have to be something huge. um, like Ty, I know you're from Vermont. Like you could have like a little maple syrup thing to
Hmm.
get that's like something that's from your heart and part of you, but doesn't have to be a huge item, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I do that for sure.
Yeah. And then the flexibility in your budget for travel interruptions. So this is just kind of be acknowledging the reality that things don't always go exactly as planned.
Hmm.
So, I'm traveling for Thanksgiving. We are planning to spend one night in a hotel, but you don't know if weather is going to come up or, particularly with flights and things like that, things can change.
Yeah,
So,
the airports have been really overworked and stuff lately, especially. So just
yeah.
something to keep in mind.
Yeah. It does look like a lot of people on this call are hosting.
Hmm.
Thanks, whether that be Thanksgiving or another holiday meal. I know I'm not hosting Thanksgiving, but I do host a couple times. We actually celebrate both Hanukkah and Christmas. So
Hmm. Same. Yep.
our tradition is that we typically have family over for one of the nights of Hanukkah, often the first night, but I think it's a weird like midweek one this week. So we'll figure it out. But we have family over for that at least one of the nights of Hanukkah, and then I do a meal, and then Christmas Eve because my family I'm divorced and have a new partner, and so my kid has to split the day on Christmas. So Christmas Eve is like our big time. So um,
Hmm.
and let's
Yeah,
see.
and I think just talking about different ways you can give back. I see a lot of people have mentioned that they're hosting and cooking, and that's wonderful. You can always do that. But if
Yeah.
if there's a way, if you're feeling like a little pressure on some of those expenses, maybe you can try to encourage your family and friends to try to bring an item. Try to
Hmm.
split up some of that a little bit,
Yeah.
because we didn't get any responses for it's a potluck, and that's great and fine. Like everybody's gonna do it how they want to in their family, but
Yeah.
depending on how you feel like you have maybe some pressure, something like that, it's always a good idea to try to communicate with your family, like expectations around holidays, around gift giving, around food, the different financial pressures. There's definitely ways to do it in a way that like still will have that special way, but different strategies you can kind of employ if you need that assistance.
Yeah. Yeah. And also being aware that there were times when I was younger where it just didn't seem worth it to host a whole big dinner. Um, and what we would do is, there are groups and or places that have holiday meals. So, like, I'm part of a religious community. They have a potluck on literally on Christmas and on Thanksgiving. So, if anyone's in the Cambridge area needs to come out, I'm not trying to proselytize, but there is a free meal available at the Friends meeting at Cambridge. So, there are probably a lot of those in the community, and that's something that you can take your family to, and it can be really special.
Hmm.
And it doesn't have to be something that you create from scratch.
Yeah.
So we have a question in the chat that really feeds into our next piece about someone was asking a question about do we have suggestions on what might be a good budget for holiday gifts?
Mm.
They buy for 5 people, 3 teens. I feel like those are the hardest,
Yeah.
and 2 adults. um, and I think obviously this is going to vary a lot, right? Based
Hmm.
on that number you started with. So you should be starting from what you feel you have and what's reasonable for you to spend because everyone's circumstances are different. Um, and we'll talk about like how to make that, spend wisely for that. So we can maybe talk a little bit about our own budgets if you feel
Hmm.
comfortable, Ty.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. All right. Ty, you're really good at researching, and like once you have your gift list, I feel like you do that well. So, do you want to talk a little bit about like how you do that? Do you look at ratings
Yeah.
and reviews and all
A
that
little
stuff?
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do a couple different things. I try to plan. I think planning into paper is the first step because it's hard to keep track of everything in your mind. And writing something down or typing something out makes it real. It helps you figure out exactly how much the realistic true cost of something's going to be. It can be hard to take a budget and then compare it to actually the numbers, both either one way or the other. You're like, oh, maybe I need this many $100 to for presents, but then depending on what people actually want or what you actually want to get them, it could be more or less. It's hard to say. So trying to cross-reference those things and look for the different types of deals and stuff like that can be really helpful. Um, so what I do is I take everybody I'm buying for. I try to pick a rough number on what I think I can afford via my budget based on how much I've saved up till before and in general how much I'm willing to, spend in that month. And then try to find, roughly about that much per person. Try to figure out things they're actually going to want. Whether that's if the things they want are more expensive than perhaps I am able to easily afford based on my budget, then I'll try to get creative with it. I will try to look into things that are adjacent to the things they want at perhaps a slightly lower price point, or if it's something that I can contribute towards them wanting to do, whether that's an experience or a larger thing. Perhaps I will get like a gift card or something, if they wanted like an expensive like video game or video game system or something like that. Maybe I'll get like a Best Buy gift card or something like that because it's like something that they can then put forward
Yeah.
towards the thing that they're really going to want. Gift cards can feel less creative, but especially if they have, if it's a teen or something like that that tend to have very specific interests and they want that one thing, and if it's just like not something that you can 100% get for them, it can be a great way that you can contribute towards them, and you can even like, write out a card or something and be like, this is for this, like here's my percentage, like we got you, like we're gonna get you there, that kind of thing. Like you can have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
But I think that trying to figure out roughly your budget, roughly who you will need to get presents for, roughly how much you can afford or meet them at. You don't have to get them exactly what they want. There are different levels, there are different tiers. Can be really, really helpful strategy. So I do that, and then I do try to shop early. I say it's not exactly early, but I do try to find deals. I try to look around. I try to keep an eye on for different deals. Black Friday can be really hit or miss. Sometimes the stores will say it's discounted, but it's really the same price, that kind of thing. But you can find some really great deals there. That's one way. There's a lot of like online, like, Prime Day, Cyber Monday, things like that. Like there are definitely things you can do to find some deals, but doing research ahead of time is good. Make sure you're actually getting a deal. Like try to keep an eye on things in like a wish list or something or a cart of like the cost of something now or, as early as you can. And then just like keep an eye on that. And then leading up to some of these days where there's like a sale day, see if the actual discount is actually more like a good discount based on its general price, things like that. So have a plan, do these research, like certain like specific items that people really want or you really want to get for somebody. um Try to keep a sharp eye on those things, try to like figure out if when it would be the best time, if it's actually a good deal, things like that. If you can't maybe go all the way on getting them that whole item, contribute or find something that's like really good in it and would work in adjacent with it, some kind of accessory or hobby craft type of thing, depending on what people want, can be really, really great, and that kind of thing. I think we're
That's
going to talk a little bit more about like,
Oh,
what
go
was that?
ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I tend to start going and going, but we're going to talk about more about giving gift experiences as gifts and things like that. But having a plan and sticking to it and figuring out what you can afford per person can be a really helpful thing.
Yeah, I just liked what you said about you don't have to give the whole thing.
Hmm.
And I think that that's, a really good recalibration for most of us. Like we feel like it's all or nothing. And if we can't get that really expensive thing that the person wants, but I think contributing toward it is really nice. And The other thing I would mention in trying to answer this question is, I guess, if these are adults, and particularly if they're people in your family or close friends, I would talk with them about like, what are we spending? And, try and ratchet that down if need be, or just make sure that people are feeling good about it so that, I know in my family, for a long time, we have a large family on my mom's side, and people would choose a name and everyone
Hmm.
would shop for one person, and there was a limit for how much to spend for each person. And that kind of kept things a little bit more under control because everyone bought for the kids,
Hmm.
but for the older generation, it was like you bought for one person.
Yeah.
So that,
I agree. And I think another great strategy is going in on a present together for somebody. If they do want a
yeah,
more expensive thing,
yep,
like finding somebody else to split the cost with. So you know they're really going to love this thing that they might not even expect to get because they know it's a pricier item, but they
yes,
just want it so much that they put it on the list anyway, especially for
yep,
like teens and stuff. If you
yep.
can like go in on like with another family member or something like that and maybe make their day by the price point, if you split it, will be about the same as a price you would have spent with that, but you
Mhm.
know you're going to get them something that's something they really want rather than something cheaper that they might not actually want that much, something like that.
Yes. And I found, honestly, my niece and nephew are in their 20s and 30s now, but particularly when they were teens, and even now, I mean, I love them. I just don't see them enough. They're on the other side of the country. Giving cash has been pretty meaningful in our relationship because I Venmo them or Zelle them or whatever the money. And then we text back and forth. Like it's a nice little touch point, at their birthday and at the holidays. And so it's sort of just a nice time to like catch up with one another and that kind of thing. And so I have moved from, I finally had the realization when they were maybe in middle school that like some of the things that I was buying were like things that I don't know, I thought would be meaningful, but maybe they didn't quite hit the mark. And then I felt bad that I'd wasted money basically on
Mm,
something. So I do think, particularly if you don't have a day-to-day look into what they need, it can be really useful to give cash or gift cards. I like to give like restaurant gift cards to my brother and sister-in-law. Same reason, like they're far away, so I don't always know exactly what they need, but I know they like to treat themselves at certain places, and it's like then they'll do it, and it's like special.
mm,
Um, so that kind of leads a little bit into the idea of making memories, and perhaps reducing spending, um, or just thinking about like what are the things that help us create lasting memories. So you mentioned that you can consider giving experiences. There's some really cool experiences on this slide, but I do like to mention just one thing that we did in my family that is we like to eat. We're people who like to eat. So we did buy my boyfriend and I decided like to buy each other restaurant gift cards. And we have, like I said, both Hanukkah and Christmas. So between, us exchanging them, in a way, it was sort of like pre-buying dinners for ourselves places. So yes, there was the expense around the holidays, but then it's like, oh, for the next few months, you're sort of, when you go out on date night or whatever, you're choosing, we always try and choose restaurants that like the other person hasn't been to yet.
mm,
So it's kind of like, oh, I want to share this experience with you of this restaurant. Maybe I tried it somewhere else with some, other friends or
mm,
whatever. So that was something that was nice for our budget because then I sort of felt like, oh, for several like date nights, I didn't have to worry about paying for it later. Um, so, but my mom has given us concert or theater tickets, and that's always really fun because then again, it like extends the experience out. So it might be like March, and I'm texting my mom saying, oh, sending a picture like we're here at this play that you bought us tickets for, and we're really
mm.
excited. And it kind of it makes that holiday magic last a little longer.
Yeah.
Um, one year we did do a family cruise. That was like a big expenditure, obviously, but that my I remember my boyfriend actually paid for the bulk of it that year. I'll just be honest. And he was running around though, and he was stressed about like holiday gifts, and I was like, "Honey, you already bought this huge thing." Like I knew about it. It wasn't a surprise. So I think he felt bad that I didn't have surprises. So he found somewhere this like squishy cruise ship that was like foam. I don't know how to describe this. And he put it in my stocking, so that was like something that I could open in my stocking. So, I mean, that's obviously a big thing, but don't feel shy about counting that as like a holiday thing because it's like you can talk about it at the holidays. It's a perfect excuse when you're all together to plan. Like,
Mhm.
oh, what are the outings that you really want to do if we do this trip? Like, what things are must see for you in, if we go on this, if we go to Montreal, what do you want to go and see? What do you want to do? Because everyone has a different, opinion on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So are there any of those kind of gift experiences that have been big for you, Ty?
Yeah, I mean, one year my mom got us tickets to Hamilton, which was huge.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, loved that.
Yeah.
So things like that, experiences can be really great. I think one fun little thing too is if you do plan out something like getting each other restaurant gift cards, as you mentioned, Jen, which is a cool idea. If you know that either way, you'd probably be going to some of these restaurants because it's something you want to do, then you're kind of saving some money because you get it, it's part of the gift, as part of that thing. And then it's rather than getting gifts on top of then also in the future paying to go to those restaurants, it's still a gift giving experience. And then you do get to then have fun and go to those restaurants and save some money that way as well, right? So if it's like these things that you would probably do or you would know you would want to do, it's fun to kind of turn them into part of the gift giving experience, and you can still save some money there technically.
Yeah. And then we had a question in the chat, like, how do you communicate to people about if you're giving money or a gift card, do you say that exactly what it's for in the card? Or is it putting pressure on them to spend a certain way? I know for me, I kind of keep it a little more vague unless I know there's something that they're saving for. So, for instance, my niece was planning a big trip to Greece. And so that year when I gave her money at Christmas, I was like, "Hey, I this is for your Greece trip." I mean, whether she used it for that or not,
Hmm.
she was spending a bunch of money on that trip and she probably needed some extra help with that because of where she was as a young adult and whatever. So, I
Yeah, I think so. I think that this
communication.
is sorry to interrupt, but I was gonna say, I think you can say like, I know you really wanted this, or I know you're saving up for this. Like, you feel free to please consider this. You can use this towards that, or if there's something else you want that this could cover, like you don't have to get too specific with it. But for example, I think of something very specific. When I was a teen, my brother and I were saving up for a Nintendo GameCube, and we had a jar that we'd put all the money and allowance we got into it, and it
Mhm.
was like we wanted it so bad, but it was like too much for any one person to gift us. So anytime we got money or holiday, so people knew and they would kind of like gift for that. And it was really cool because like it was actually a great way for us to learn about saving for something more important as a teen,
Mhm.
like a younger teen too. I think I was like maybe 13ish or something. And it was a great way for my parents to turn it into a teaching experience for us about like the value of saving up for something you truly want. And, they were able to gift to someone they could. And we got involved with like trying to do like fundraisers and stuff with the family, trying to see if people would try to give us a little bit towards it and
Like do
stuff.
chores or something to get money, is it?
Yeah, just stuff like that. Exactly. So it was like a great way to learn about the importance of saving money and how it can get you these bigger things. And sometimes that would make it so like gifts could go towards that if it's something that was really obviously something we wanted. But if you know that there's something more expensive on their list, that they would like, and you're not sure when they would have the money for it, you can say like, uh, consider this as putting it towards that, or if there's something else you want, or however specific you want to be. But I think there are different ways depending on what the item is and how much it would cost to have it be a great learning moment, as well as something you can either contribute to or give them the freedom to, get something else they want along that journey.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of open communication. If like there's something big like a trip, like I said, it was not a surprise. I knew
Mhm.
we were going to be going on the trip. It was just sort of we used that at like that holiday. I was like, listen, that's what you got us, right? Like,
Yeah,
so,
I got married recently. We had on our registry three or two or three different like contribute to our house, contribute to our things. I was like, the cash we get from that, we're gonna use it for what we need it for. You know what I
yes,
mean?
of course. Yes.
But it's
Uh,
nice to still have see people be like, oh, I want to contribute towards this specifically.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. And then I love talking about people's ideas and I love hearing about other people's traditions. So if anybody on this call would like to go into the Q&A and share with us any traditions that you do. And this whole slide is all different traditions that you might consider that are low or no cost traditions, whether that's like a baking night, gingerbread house building, a holiday movie night, like maybe every year do you watch the same thing together, volunteering, caroling, looking at the holiday lights. So my family combines like the bottom two. Our tradition is that we love to go walk at night. We live in a city, so we can walk to a lot of different little neighborhoods that go all out with holiday lights because kind of right near Somerville and also near Cambridge. And there's a few different places that we like to go. We just like to go out, look at the stars, look at the lights, and then sometimes we'll sing carols as we're walking around. Um, and not necessarily like knocking on people's doors and singing, although I know a lot of people do that as well, but that's just what we do. And it's actually really special. It's been a time of like bonding and like, checking in with each other. But I know you've done some gingerbread house building. Is that right,
Yeah,
Tim?
we started doing a tradition actually just the past couple of years of gingerbread house building. It's a little bit my brother just for the well, is about 1 years old now, my own little nephew.
Mhm.
So it's been a little bit more tricky with trying to wrangle everybody together for the holidays and stuff like that. So we try to plan out a couple more specific things we do every year. Gingerbread house is like a great way to spend some time. And the cost of it is pretty low. We get the kits from, Target or something, and we just gather some candy and we just like hang out and we listen to Christmas music and we decorate and it's a fun way to be creative. It's a fun way to spend time, rather than perhaps doing something a little more expensive or like always needing to like go out to get to eat or make a big dinner or something like that. We do some of that too, but while we're up there for the holiday time, not just like 1 or 2 days, we try to find some cheaper ways to really get some quality time. We also do a holiday movie night. We get really cozy in the living room, bunch of blankets and stuff. We watch, usually, It's a Wonderful Life is a big hit in our house, but we have a couple different ones. And it's like mom will almost always like get some like really nice like gourmet popcorn and some snacks and hot chocolate and stuff and just some
Mhm.
things that are like little fun things, but like a great way to spend time together and create those lasting memories.
Yeah. My best friend's family does a pajama thing every year for Christmas. And I love they have just the same as you, like one young child in their family. And I know it's been like a core memory for him that there's always a holiday celebration or party that they have where everyone wears their pajamas and they just get the cutest little pictures out of it. And I know it's like a very cozy, like they do a lot of the things like, um, watching a movie and popcorn, kind of similar vibe to that. And then just the nice thing of like little things like that make it really special for kids. And it's
Yeah.
kind of surprising, like, oh, that this is like the thing that we do. Like, it doesn't have to be big to be, or expensive rather, to be meaningful.
Hmm.
So we mentioned that, pre-planning and saving is going to put you in a much better place. So, um, I think one of the best things to do to think about next year is think about how much time you have to the next big holiday and try and set yourself up for success by just doing the division. Like I have 10 months, starting in January, I want to save X amount per pay period. So maybe even dividing it further, not just months, but by pay period. And then in order to commit to that, you can open a savings account and just have it be for the holidays. Um, and we're big proponents here of naming your savings accounts for the goal. So like
Hmm.
you can actually name it within the system at your bank. And so if you have that savings account, it's just really clear for you where that money's going, what it's for, and how much you want to save per pay period so that it avoids you ever having to put anything on credit. We don't want you to go in debt for the
Yes,
holidays. I think that's
definitely.
probably the biggest thing. Um,
If you
and then
struggle with like putting money aside and then not needing to take it, something like a Christmas club account could be useful. I think sometimes those are oversold a little bit as a way to kind of like get extra money because the interest rate on them is generally not like very, very impactful. But the Christmas Club account usually is you put some money aside and it's like locked up until the holiday time, which can
Mhm.
be a great way of like set it and forget it, like put it there. Make sure you, you can afford to do
Yeah,
what you need to do, of course. But it can be a great strategy for some people that I know sometimes I lack that self-control. Naming the savings account as like Christmas account can also be helpful because then if you start to take money out of it, you're like, oh, wait, like I know what this money's for. It's for the Christmas thing. As we talked about, we really love naming those accounts because when you take money out of an account with a name on it, you know what you're taking the money from. Whereas
yeah,
if you just take money from savings account 0781, then it's like it doesn't have that same impact, that same feeling, that same meaning. So
yeah.
that can be another great strategy.
The other thing I love to mention about planning ahead is this year at the holidays, if you feel like any part of it was too much for you financially, emotionally, whatever, if it was draining rather than filling your cup, talk with your family or your close friends or whoever you celebrate with about maybe doing things different next year. Because it can be hard to change things now for this year. Like maybe some things are already set and going to happen. But you could suggest, like, if you are buying for everyone in a big family, you could this year, when you get together for Christmas or another holiday, you could say, hey, um, how about we draw names from a hat right now and we know who we're buying for next year?
Hmm.
That kind of thing. So, or, you just suggest that that's going to happen and that you'll send out an email to everybody about doing that. Um, and try and get everyone to buy in that, like, wouldn't that simplify things?
Yeah. Sometimes it can be hard, especially to change it up if it's not the way you've done it before, but just
Yeah.
being clear and communicating to your family, to your loved ones, like
Mm-hmm.
what works for you, like what could be helpful for everybody in terms of like a way to change things up so that you're not giving gifts to a whole bunch of extended family and this and that, like it can be really hard, especially as families grow. So
Yep.
trying to figure out and communicate in a way that's like healthy and helpful and like gives people some freedom because other people might be also thinking the same thing, but just like didn't feel like they could bring it up. We always say like it's good to communicate, it's good to talk about it because it can be really hard to talk about finances in our culture. It's like kind of bad to do because it makes you look weak or I don't know, it's hard, but like being able to do it and have that real honest conversation with people can even help them in a way you didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and this fear of being like cheap too,
Hmm.
or something like that, like, and knowing that it's okay to choose something a little more simple, and it that still is actually a really meaningful and important value that a lot of people hold, that you can still do during the holidays. You don't have to do everything over the top. Although we love the people who are maximalists too. you know,
Hmm.
it's have your own holiday the way you want it. Um,
Yeah.
so what about if I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, I don't even know how to create a budget, or I'm realizing that holidays is just one piece of I need a lot more help, Ty. What would you suggest here?
Yeah. So GreenPath is what I would suggest. GreenPath is amazing. They are a nonprofit that we work with. They're one of our strongest partners, but they are incredible. We always do these educational presentations. We're able to talk about these like high topics in a way that's hopefully very helpful, very educational, but it's hard to apply all of these concepts to your own individual situation. But luckily, our friends GreenPath are here to help. We always say if we take one thing from our presentation, if you need more help, it's GreenPath because you don't even need to be a member with us to use their services. As long as you are referred by us, which guess what? That's what we're doing right now. You can use their services for free. They offer individual counseling for credit, budgeting, student loans, housing counseling. They will look at your situation. They will work with you to come up with a plan, a path that fits you and your own unique life and situation. They are really, really great. And again, like I said, it's free. You don't even need to be a member with us if you don't want to be or if you're not ready to be yet. And they're just absolutely wonderful. So definitely take a look at them if you need some extra help or if you're like, yeah, this was great and all, but it's really hard to know what actual next steps to take. They can definitely be that for you. Like I mentioned earlier, we always love our survey feedback. So if you are able to, please hop in and give us a little bit of feedback on our survey. We always love to hear about how we're doing. If there's different ways we can talk about things, or something you thought perhaps we would talk about, but we didn't, or anything like that, we definitely want to know. We're always looking for new presentations to do, new content, all sorts of things. So we read all of the feedback that we get individually. We love to hear it. So please, if you want to, feel free to send us a little bit. We're always looking to make sure we're actually helping people in a helpful way, you know? So please do. This will also be sent, I believe, in the follow-up email from the workshop that you get with the slides and things like that, a link to the survey. So you don't have to like Google it in right now, or click it in the chat if you're not ready. But we always welcome the feedback, whether now or in the future. So we do have one more upcoming webinar in the next little while, which is budgeting for the new year. We talked about the best way to prepare for whether it's budgeting for the holidays or anything like that is to plan ahead. It's really important. So if you are somebody that's like, what are some more ways I could actually do that ahead for next year, whether that's for the holidays or perhaps some things you want to accomplish next year or some resolutions or whatever it may be, whatever works well for you to try to make some change, try to make some improvements. We're going to talk more about that. So definitely feel free to join us for this next one. Even if you sign up, you'll get the slides. So it's always a good idea. And we're going to talk about some really great concepts on how you can plan ahead. And keep in touch. We always want to hear. I know I mentioned about the survey feedback. We always want to hear more, but we also just want you to reach out to us if you ever need us. We have a great inbox. You can always respond. You get a real human responding to those emails. We have all sorts of different social channels. If you follow us on Instagram, you're going to see yours truly and a lot of little video content because I've been really enjoying doing that lately. We're always trying to find different ways to actually reach back. We really have been talking a lot about how we're people first, we're people helping people. We want to have that human connection. You can always reach our support team. You can always, reach a human and a person, especially in this age of AI. We always want to make sure we have these human channels, these open channels. We always like that feedback. We always want to hear from people. We always want to work with people. So definitely reach out or stay in touch or follow us if you want to. We're always trying to find the good content, the helpful content that people actually want and will actually help. So that's a little bit about us. Thank you so much for being here today, determining your time to learn a little bit more. And if you have any questions, we have a few more minutes here. Feel free to pop them in the Q&A. We'll always be happy to address a few things, but you can always reach out to us, like I said, through any of these other channels if you think of something later. So
And I
thank
hope
you all.
everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving if you celebrate and all
Hmm.
of your winter holidays. We really appreciate you taking the time out to pop in and spend some time with us and enjoy your time with your special people.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for coming. It's been a real blast.